Hello, I'm Tom from Rendered Games, and today I'm going to be making a video just showing how to use Microsoft Visual Basic. I'm using the 2010 Express version, mainly because I'm doing a computing course at college and we use this build there. So I'm just going to show the basic things which you'll need to know to use Visual Basic. So when you load it up, we'll get this screen here, which will show you it'll show you the things you can put into a form being the actual window for the application. So when you install Visual Basic and then open it up, and there'll be a place where you just name the file you're going to make, and like Photoshop, if you've used that, and then you press OK and it opens this. So here you can this is the properties menu here, where you can change some properties of the selected item. So here I select the form, so I can change the name of the form to say FRM main, and it doesn't matter what you name the form, but the reason I called it FRM main is because of a thing, it's called Prefixes, and it just helps you with your code, because you will need to write some code eventually in Visual Basic. It'll help you finding the names of your objects. So some more of these prefixes I'll be showing you throughout the course of the video. If you want to find them all out, I'm sure you can search online, and there'll probably be a big list of all the different prefixes which are commonly used for all of these controls here. There are lots of controls. So yeah, I've renamed this form, and you might think, wait a sec, it hasn't changed the name yet. This is not actually the name of the form, which is what you might think. This is the text which is on the form. The name is just used for when you're writing the code for the form. So you can make the name something short like this, FRM main, and you could make the text hello world application, because I will be showing you how to make a hello world app in Visual Basic. It's going to be a bit more advanced than if you were writing one for the console. Bit different to that. So okay, so now we've named this form, so we've just got this blank form, and it's just going to look like this when we want to use the program. The little looks like a play button up here. If you click that, it'll debug the program and allow you to use it. So this is what we get. Just a blank form. Can't do anything with it. You can make it bigger, minimize it, and close it. So it's pretty basic so far. So now we'll want to put something on the form. So let's put on, for example, a label. A label is sort of like what you use to put text on a form, mainly. So it looks like that, and you can change what it says. So first of all, let's name it, and the prefix for label is LBL. So we'll call this one label instructions. Okay, now we can type in here what we wanted to say. So we'll say please enter your name in the box below, because I will be putting a box under here where the user can enter their name, and eventually the program will, once you press a button, it'll say hello and then your name. So that's why it's a bit more advanced than a regular hello world application. So now we've got this label, we can actually change some font settings and things like that. So we can make we can change the size. We can make it bold, underlined, italic, So, and the colors and things like that. So, okay, here we go. Right, so we can first of all change the font. So let's change the font. Let's look through some. How about Courier New? That looks alright. And we'll make it a bit bigger, 12. That looks fine. If we want, we can change the color of the text. So say we want the text to be blue. So we want it to be white. You can change it depending on what you want. So we'll leave it black for now. And we can also change the background color. So you can change it to say red background. So we will just keep this as the default for now, and there we go. So there's the instructions for a program. Now we'll put in another a text box, which is used for the input of text in your program. So put that here. You can make it bigger like that. Just move it around. It's very user friendly, Visual Basic. So you can also, if you want, I won't bother right now, but you can same way as with the label, just in the properties, in the font settings here, change the font and size and everything of the text box, of the text in the text box. So the prefix for a text box is txt, so easy one to remember, txt, and then we'll call this one txt name. And there is a text section, but we'll leave it blank. If we wanted to, we could have something already in the text box. So I could put name here if I wanted. There are other properties, a lot of other properties with all these things. For example, if you wanted it to be a password box, you can put a password character in, so when you type something into the box, this character will come up instead of letters. So the regular one is the asterisk, and can also make it a multi-line text box, so it'll be a bit bigger. There's lots of other things you can play around with here. Some of them you'll not use a lot, like I've never used this IME mode, don't know what that is. Okay, so next we'll want to put in a button, because for our program to do anything we need an event, and the event will be clicking on this button. So there's our button, and much like everything else, we'll rename it, and the prefix for button is btn. We'll call it btn enter. Okay, and then we can type into the button text enter. Alright, so now we'll want to write some of the code for a program. We're done with everything with the design. Also, when you're doing your programs, you'll want to save quite frequently, just in case anything happens. So I'll just save this to my desktop. Hello world. Save. Okay, now that's saved, we can go on to the next part of the program. So there's one thing which we'll need on our design, which is where the message will be displayed. So when we click enter, a message will be displayed saying hello, and then whatever you type in the text box. So we'll have down here another text box. You could also use a label if you want, but I'll just show another feature of the text box. This is why I'm using it. So we'll call it txt message, and we don't want our users to be able to write into this text box. We don't want them to be able to type any text into it. So all we'll have to do, set this property here, read only, set it to true, and it'll grey it out like that, so you can't type in it. So now when a user comes onto the program, they can just type into this text box and press enter. So this text box here, the read only text box, we don't want this to say any text either, so we'll leave that blank as well. And another feature is visible. We can set visible to false, and this will mean when the program is run that this text box, you won't be able to see it. So I'll show you what that's like right now. If I run the program, you'll be able to see it in the design view, but not when the program's running. So you see in the design view there's a text box here, and in the actual application there's no text box, but we can type in here, we can press enter, but it doesn't do anything yet. So next we are ready to start with our code. So double click the button, and it'll bring up the code for what will happen when you click the button. So here's the code. The private sub for button enter when it's clicked, and it'll handle what will happen when the button is clicked. So here's where you type the code, in between private sub and end sub. So right here, and well, what do we want our button to do? So when our button is clicked, which is what we've already got, we want the text box, the message box, the message text box rather, text message, which we'll choose here, and you can either double click or press tab and it'll come up. And then we want, what do we want to happen to the message text box? We want to make it visible. So text message dot visible equals true. So that'll just set that visible property to true. So this line here is just making the text box visible again. Next line. And we also want the text box to say hello, and then whatever you typed into the other text box. So text message dot text equals, because this is the text property, and then quotation marks, hello, close quotation marks, and then this ampersand here for something else. We'll also want, space here, because there'll be hello and then a space. The program won't put in spaces for you. You have to think for the program. So hello space, and then the name, and the name is text name dot text, because this was in the text property of the text name text box. So it's pretty straightforward, and you can actually work out a lot of code for yourself with Visual Basic just from looking at the properties and thinking logically about it. Like, you could kind of figure that out without me telling you anything, this line of code. So now we've got that, I'll just save the program. Okay, and now we're ready to give our program a go. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here's our program. This is what it looks like when we first run the program. Please enter your name in the box below. Okay, my name's Thomas, so we'll press enter, and the program comes back with hello Thomas, and I can't type in this text box because it's read only. And if I wanted to change that then to John, hello John, So it'll change it to whatever your name is. Cindy, any name you want. So this is quite a basic program, which is really easy to make with Visual Basic. So that's the whole program right there, that little bit of code. But even though there's this little tiny bit of code and the program was so easy to make, there is a way to improve it and make it even less code. Maybe not in this case as much, but with a lot of programs this method will be very useful. So we use something called variables, and it gets a bit more complicated. Yeah, it's you might not understand fully at first, but I'll try and explain. A variable is something that you set the variable and its name so that it'll control a I try not to say control a variable in your project, because a variable is what it's called, but control a feature in the code of your project. I'll show you what I mean. So to declare a variable, you type dim, and then whatever you want to call your variable, it could be anything. So for this I'll call it name as, and then what you want the variable to be. And there's lots of different types. There's integer, boolean, string, string being what we'll use this time. Integer is a whole number, a boolean is a true or false, and a string is just a string of text. So we'll do dim name as string, then we'll put name equals text name dot text. So now this name variable controls the text property for the text box text name. So now here, instead of writing text name dot text, we can just write name, because name is text name dot text. So if you had the same thing written loads of times in the program, instead of writing text name dot text, you can just write name. And for a lot of things, it wouldn't just be text name dot text. You might think, what's the point? It's probably more code if you declare this variable. So it's very useful with longer programs. So we'll just try the program again using these variables. This dim name as string line of code, and we should get the same result, and we do. We'll get exactly the same as last time for any name you type in that box, and anything you type in that text box come up in this message here. So this is a very basic program which you could use in lots of different ways to actually make different programs, so with using the same sort of concepts. So if you wanted a program to display, say you're in a company and you want the program to display an employee's name, you can just like this and make employee name come up in a text box, or other things such as list boxes, combo boxes, things like that, which should learn more about in the future if I do some more of these videos, which I wouldn't mind doing, because as I said before, I'm doing a course on computing in college, and it'll help me learn. So I hope this has helped, and I hope if I do make more of these videos you'll come back. If you do want to make that process easier, you can subscribe, so when I do make a new video you will see, and maybe next time we'll do something a bit more adventurous, a bit harder than this program. Thanks for watching, see you next time.